Page 618. Gollum says, Smeagol, swear on the precious. Frodo, on the precious? How dare you? And he quotes the line, one ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them. Would you commit your promise to that, Smeagol? It will hold you. It is far more treacherous than you are. It may twist your words, beware. Gollum, on the bridges, on the bridges. And what would you swear? Gollum says, bottom of 618, we promise it, yes, I promise. I will swear, I will serve the master of the precious, good master, good Smeagol, Gollum. And Frodo tells Sam to take the rope off. Here's where Frodo makes a mistake. Frodo hasn't studied contract law or negotiation. He doesn't make Gollum state who the master of the precious is. He should have said, okay, now Gollum, repeat after me. I, Gollum, also known as Smeagol, will swear to serve, protect, obey Frodo Baggins of Bag Inn, the Shire, Hobbiton, etc., known to me as Master of the Precious. Okay, he should have made it that specific, but he doesn't. So that Gollum, later on, the wheels can start turning, and he can think, if I become the Master of the Precious, then I protect myself. Okay? So, Smeagol leads them through the passages of the marshes. And page 625, just to give point out a little something. Now, this description of the faces and the heads in the dead marshes, this is real. In other words, there are numerous writers who survived World War I, who fought in World War I, who talk about their experiences in crossing the no man's land in the French muddy fields and battlefields and such. And a few of them describe situations just like this, where they're crawling on their hands and knees, and they come to a pool of water, and they see a disembodied head staring up at them. So Tolkien doesn't just create this out of thin air. It's possibly something he saw. Page 625. Frodo asks, how do we shape our course now, Gollum? Must we cross these evil-smelling fens? The important thing is how Frodo says, how do we shape our course? How do we create, is almost what he's saying. How do we create our destiny? It's going to become pretty important in a few minutes when we get to the passage up to the Tower of Cirith Ungol. So they make their way, let's see, they make their way to the Black Gate. And page 633, they're on one of these slag heaps, and Sam wakes up and he sees that Frodo has slid down to the bottom of a pit and that Gollum is near him. And there's a pale light and a green light alternating in Gollum's eyes. And Sam overhears this conversation that Gollum is making. Smeagol promised. Yes, yes, my precious. We promised to save our precious. Not to let him have it never, but it's going to him. Nearer, yes, nearer every step. I don't know, I can't help it. Master's got it. Smeagol promised to help the master. Yes, yes, to help the master of the precious. But if we was master, then we could help ourselves. Yes, and still keep promises. This is an internal debate in Gollum. You have Smeagol, the last remaining shred of the true identity, the true self, and Gollum, the evil part that is rotten and filthy and wholly overcome by the ring. You could think of the Gollum part as the part that is owned by the ring, or it's the will of the ring in Gollum, speaking almost. And notice what kind of we hear going on. We hear Gollum talk about she, and if she gets them, she'll eat them and then she'll spit out the rest, and then we'll go through and we'll find it, etc. And Smeagol doesn't want to go that way. Finally, Sam wakes the others up, and we get to the chapter, the Black Gate, and we see the Morannon, the Black Gate of Mordor, and we find out there's no way to get in there. And And so Gollum tells them there is another way, but that it is guarded. Page 641. Or 643, excuse me. Frodo asked, is it not guarded? Were you not rather permitted to depart upon an errand? And Gollum says, it's a lie, it's a lie. Okay? But they agree to go with him. And we get a description on 644 of where it is they're going. Okay? But they keep going, and we find, chapter 4, Herbs and Stewed Rabbit. They come into Ithilien, and Gollum catches them, a brace of rabbits, which is a couple, and they get captured by the men of Ithilien because Sam's fire has created smoke. So Sam and Frodo get caught by Faramir and the Rangers of Ithilien. They tell him just enough so that he knows that they were with Boromir, and he knows they know what Boromir information he sought. So Faramir takes them back to the window on the west. On their way there, they run into a skirmish with some Southrons. And we're told, page 661, a man dies, an enemy dies right in front of Sam and falls essentially at Sam's feet. And we're told it was Sam's first view of a battle of men against men, and he did not like it much. He was glad that he could not see the dead face. He wondered what the man's name was and where he came from, and if he was really evil of heart, or what lies or threats had led him on the long march from his home, and if he would not really rather have stayed there in peace, all in a flash of thought which was quickly driven from his mind. Why does Tolkien do this? In one of his letters, Tolkien says that Sam describes the ordinary Batmen, of World War I. These are the common men from the countryside who signed up, went to war to defend their home and homeland, and who slogged through a brutal and bloody war. And I think what he's suggesting here is that he himself, as one of these Batmen, had these same thoughts. The men he fought, were they really evil, or were they just following orders and defending their homes in some way? So, they go to the window on the west. Sam has maybe a little bit too much to drink. They talk about Gandalf and such. Page 670, where we will learn some of Gandalf's other names. And Faramir says, page 671, talking about Boromir and such. He says, whatever the thing is you carry, he says, what it is, I don't know. But Boromir was proud, and he says, bottom of 671, I would not take this thing if it lay by the highway, not were Minas Tirith falling in ruin, and I alone could save her. So, using the weapon of the Dark Lord for her good and my glory. In other words, he won't let the ends justify the means. If the ends is the good and the salvation of Gondor, he won't let the means, whatever the thing is that Frodo carries, that Boromir wanted, he won't use that thing to save Gondor. And he tells Frodo what he would see, how he'd see the White Tower restored, he'd see the White Tree grow again, and the king renewed. And they capture Gollum, and we're going to skip a bunch again, page 680. They're talking about Galadriel and Lothlorien. And Sam alludes to something about Boromir and Galadriel. And Faramir says, yes. Now Boromir, you would say, what would you say? He took his peril with him? And Sam says, yes. And he finishes his little speech with, from the moment he first saw it, he wanted the enemy's ring. Frodo's like, Sam? And they both jump to their feet. And Sam says,